Peace. This is Anton the Benevolent Universal Magician, or Anton the Bum, and this video is going to be about finding ways to find the value in everybody, no matter what you may disagree with about their stances on things, and even if you find some of their views to be abhorrent. It can be a challenge, especially in these divisive times. But something hit me today that allowed me to really appreciate everybody in this society right now, and I'll explain it to you. So, first of all, I look up numbers when they stand out to me, and a lot of people look up numbers that are either sequential or the same number repeated, like 333 or something of that nature. I look up all numbers that stand out to me, and I want to shout out a woman named Joanna Wormsley who runs a site called Sacred Scribes. Let me check. Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers.blogspot.com. She's on point every time I look up the numbers that have presented to me. Through her interpretations, they always seem to line up with whatever's going on in my life and make perfect sense. So I recommend her. Check her out. And anyway, so the numbers that I saw today that were standing out to me, when I looked them up, there was a pattern emerging, which was to be able to look at all of humanity and have hope for it, and see the divine in it and have love for it. And as I said, that can be a challenge in these polarized times, especially today. They got the Million MAGA March going on, and my opinion is that a lot of those people have a lot of hateful views, prejudicial views towards a lot of other people, and it's hard to find the purpose for those people being here, and hard to see the divinity in them at times. I feel like a lot of them may not be exposed to a lot of the people that they prejudge, different groups, and they're isolated in their own pockets and are taking other people's opinions and prejudicial views as fact when they haven't had actual experience with these people on their own. With that being said, I was tasked with the challenge of seeing the divinity in these people and really just wanting to be able to see the value in everybody. And I was able to do so when reflecting on how much I also disagree with the corporate branch of the Democratic Party and some of the things that they're on the verge of ushering in. So, for example, you got the mandates that are upcoming. I completely disagree with those. I think it sets a terrible precedent. I do think everybody should take whatever precautions they deem necessary, and I know there is a real virus out there. But also, I know that the virus was created purposely to manipulate us and usher us into an authoritarian police state. And I will put up a picture of it, or a link to the article from April 2020 that Newsweek did about how Anthony Fauci's organization actually funded the mutation of the coronavirus that was only prevalent in animals into a version that actually is humans are way more susceptible to. And this was in Wuhan, in the Wuhan virology lab, where the leak actually came from. So knowing that, and then knowing that the media has not decided to highlight that, or most of us don't even know about it, meanwhile we're supposed to be looking to Fauci to guide us through this, that in itself should be a huge red flag to anybody who's paying attention. But like I said, most people are not informed of that because it's been kind of buried. So knowing that there's nefarious goals behind this pandemic, I think it's important to both ensure that we protect people from getting sick, but also to ensure that we don't completely throw out all of our freedoms and our constitutional rights in order to slow the pandemic, because that is the purpose for them releasing it, and they want to be able to strip these things from us, and they want to be able to alter society in a way in which there is no small business, there is no independence financially. Everyone's going to end up working for a corporation to survive. So knowing all of that, I find the value in the MAGA people, in the Trump people, simply because they are a contrasting opinion to what us as liberals or progressives or whatever you want to call it seem to be buying hook, line, and sinker, which is that we must give into these mandates and these abandonments of personal freedom in order to stop this virus. And if everyone was on that type of page, it would be even more dangerous. We would have already been subject to these mandates, and there would be no way, no hope for stopping it. So I'm actually grateful to the people on the right for resisting against that, because I think that's a necessary thing. With that being said, a lot of the things that they stand for and what they're trying to implement are only being curbed because of the people on the left, and I'm grateful for the people on the left for being able to stop some of the overreach and the ridiculousness on that side. So the polarization, as bad as it is, it serves a purpose, because anytime one side just completely goes along with something that might serve us better, doing more knowledge on and reflecting on, the other side is there to stop it. Whether they're doing it for the right reasons or not is really unimportant. Like, I don't feel like the MAGA people are necessarily doing it based on vast knowledge of what's going on. I think they're just, Donald Trump said it and da 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 da. So they're just going along with it because of that. And so, even though it's not necessarily based on the right facts or the right reasons, the fact that they are resisting against it is valuable. I'm appreciative of that. We're in dangerous times right now, and the more that we all just conform and go along with what our leadership, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, is recommending for us, the more we are being ushered into this police state that is already super active and not going anywhere. And Donald Trump was the law and order president. He was certainly enabling the police state to thrive. But Biden and Harris is not an answer to that. That is not, they are not countering the police state by any means. So please know that, because letting our guard down just because Trump is out of office is very dangerous. These are not progressives that we have now. They have really bad track records on a lot of criminal justice issues, and they are completely at the behest of corporate interests. Biden always has been and always will be. Being from Delaware, the credit card companies completely own him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Find value in those that disagree with you, because either side, when left to their own devices, is going to lead us into a very dangerous place. I think the overreach on the Democratic side with conformity is very dangerous, and then the propensity towards prejudice and hatred on the right is, of course, super dangerous. And if we don't have both sides, then we're completely doomed. So preferably, everybody would really just think for themselves and not go along with the groupthink approach and not just say, well, I'm a Democrat, so I agree with this that the Democrats propose. Really analyze every issue as it is individually and make their decision based on that. That would be beautiful, but that doesn't seem to be where we're at. So in the meantime, there's value in the two conflicting sides, and I would like to see society move towards a place where people really weigh every issue out on its own merit and make their decisions that way. And that is how I'm maintaining hope for society, which was the other thing that the numbers were telling me to do a better job about, because it's been very hard during the last 8 months or so to keep that hope going. As soon as this whole thing started, I knew it was super manipulative, and there was a lot of misinformation going on, and the misinformation does not discriminate. Fox News has always been disinformation, and there's no getting around that. But if you think that CNN or NBC or any of those other outlets is telling you the truth, then you are sadly mistaken as well. And we are all victims of propaganda. We need to start developing our own sources of media coverage, something more truthful, something more based on what's actually good for the people, as opposed to based on what is good for corporate interests and political donors. So there's a lot of work to do, people. Please find the value in each other if at all possible, and realize that it's not all one way or another, and that just because Donald Trump is a blithering idiot, in my personal opinion, doesn't mean he's always wrong. Even a broke clock is right twice a day, and he was right about the WHO. They are a nefarious organization. They are not to be trusted. And I think he was right about the exaggeration of this virus, and there is a lot of fudging of the numbers in the hospitals. And like I said, it is a real virus. People are really sick. And my father died of this virus. They killed him, in my opinion, and they intubated him when it was not necessary to be intubated, and actually caused him to die. And that was before we knew. That was back in March, the end of March, before we knew a lot of the things we know now. But there was a huge push to intubate people, and there was actually $30,000 benefit to hospitals that specifically intubated people that were labeled COVID-19 cases. And there's no doubt in my mind that is the reason they intubated my father. I remember the lady, as soon as he went in, he was breathing well in the ambulance with just the regular little mask, the little oxygen mask they had on there. He was making jokes, he was laughing, he was doing fine. As soon as we got in there, this lady was like, oh, his breathing doesn't look good, don't worry, I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. They separated me. She was like the head staff person, and the other doctors were like kind of clearly rolling their eyes and like trying to tell her stop trying to classify it the way she was trying to classify it. And I did not know at the time why or what was going on, but soon after that, somebody came, asked if I would give them permission to do whatever they could to save my father. Of course I said I would, because what am I going to say? No, don't do whatever you can to save him. But then they jumped right into, okay, we think we need to intubate him. And they did that, and he never spoke again. And of course they isolated me from him, and I forced them to let me in there with him a couple times, but he was all drugged up and unconscious, and that's where he died. And it's terrible what they've done to a lot of people. Things have not been on the up and up, and it's important that we speak on these things, because being silent about it is how things like that are allowed to be repeated. So, like I said, the virus is real. but you need to do the knowledge on why it was created and what they're utilizing it for. This is a global takeover in which they're stripping us of all our freedoms and doing their best to usher us into a police state, and we're going right along with it. Now we're begging them for mandates that are completely unconstitutional and waiting on a vaccine that will not have nearly the trials and the testing to ensure the safety of it or the efficacy of it. And also, the people who are involved in producing these vaccines are certainly not to be trusted. So, do the knowledge, think for yourself. Don't follow any opinion just because your side has cemented it and you feel like going against that will isolate you or make you a victim of ridicule to your own side. It's important that everybody think for themselves and not just fall completely into line with their political affiliation. That's all I have to say for now. Peace and love.